Guys, so I found this old Naga footage of Khabib Nurmagomedov fighting in Naga. I thought it was just quite an interesting little match, quite quick. But also just as a point, if you find yourself in a Naga match against Khabib, you're certainly allowed to forfeit at no cost to your reputation. Because this would be scary as hell to find him here. So in the beginning of this match here, there's going to be a couple of takedown attempts. We'll see this other guy. I don't actually know his name, so we'll call him Fred. So Fred takes a little bit of a single leg here attempt. He's not the second one right there. He isn't going very hard on them. He's just kind of feeling it out. It looks for a little arm drag, goes back to the single leg. But I think 2 points to be made here. So I'll pause the footage real quick. One, the little arm taps to the ankle, he wasn't going very hard on them. So there was no reason for Khabib to bite. And as you saw, Khabib did not bite. The second thing is that his arm drag was a very weak arm drag setup. It really was almost like a slap to the tricep. And then he went straight back into his single leg attempt. And it was also a very weak single leg attempt. So the problem that he's facing right here is that he's not getting Khabib to react because he's throwing obvious feints, which means like your feints really should be the first portion of an actual motion instead of an alternative motion to an actual strike or an actual shot or an actual move. And so he's, Fred here is getting caught up in throwing feints that are obvious and therefore not particularly effective at eliciting the proper reaction from Khabib that would allow him to elaborate and chain together a better takedown. So Khabib also, one of the interesting things that he's doing right now is he's kind of keeping a little bit more bladed stance. You can see his footwork right here. It's very relaxed. It's very calm. Sometimes he squares up a little bit. Most of the time he's a bit bladed. So if we take a look at his stance at any one given moment, right here there's a little bit more of a blade than not blade, right? So the feet are here in this line. If it was a pure blade, his opponent would probably be about right here. His opponent has a bit of an angle to there, right? So we have this little acute angle here. So he's a little bit off-bladed, slightly, but his hips are in, right? We don't see the hips coming back, drawing this way, as we would in most folk-style wrestling. Torso is nice and high, very hard to get any kind of head or collar ties, and that therefore he can keep his posture the entire time. And this kind of is the undoing of our friend Fred here. Because as Fred dips his head down low, Khabib is going to be able to do a bit of a snap down on him. So he kind of dips down low. Khabib does a good single leg defense. He uses this kind of little underhook here. So a little bit difficult to see with the blur, but we have Khabib's shoulder right here, arm coming out, underhook underneath the jaw right there. He's got his foot here in the middle of the legs, and then he will whip it out to the outside if needed in order to counter the single. So as he goes here, whips it out to the outside, now he's going to shoot it back, right? Leg will get shot back this way, and then he will be out of that single leg takedown attempt. That was the best chance that Fred had, but it ended up here. He goes for the gator roll. So what ended up happening there is a little bit of snap down, goes into this kind of modified gator roll to roll him over into the darce. This is something that Khabib does consistently. It's kind of interesting to take a quick second look at. He gets his snap down here, and he's actually going to roll onto his side and then come back up to his knees. So he's going to give up top position for a moment, but in a way that makes it very difficult for Fred to climb on top. So we'll take a look at that. He gives up top position here, and then he rolls his bottom half of his body up to his knees while kind of keeping the top half of his body somewhat stable. And then now he's just going to feed through this darce right here. And this is just a standard darce, right? He's just going to shoot his right arm through. He's going to lock up that rear naked choke grip. And then from here, he'll just get the squeeze going. And then the end here was a little bit interesting. I like this move right here to slide his bottom knee in and then throw his right leg over the top. This is kind of a standard jiu-jitsu-y way of finishing a darce choke, but he actually allows his opponent to get up to his knees, which is an interesting modification on the darce choke, which is actually a really good one, and it kind of creates what one of my old coaches used to call like a darce guillotine mix. So he basically mixes a darce and a guillotine here in order to get the finish. Let me take a look at that little spot right there. So you can see the legs still whipped over, and then you can see darce guillotine finish right there.